Hello, Platinum God Games, back with another Skull and Bones tutorial. I'm a Ubisoft Partnered Creator and Twitch streamer, so check the description below for all my social links, including my Twitch channel and live times. Please also don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check the bell alert here on YouTube so you get notified when new tutorials and videos go live. And the purpose of this video is to farm as many Gildmarks in as little time as possible, so I'm going to share with you my tricks and tips. Now, if you don't know what Gildmarks are, they are a seasonal currency that you can use in William Blackwood's store, also known as the Smuggler's Network. Now, all of these items will cost you Gildmarks. So, once you start earning, as you can see in the top right of the corner of the screen, I have 8,243 Gildmarks. Now, I post the rotational items of William Blackwood's shop every week on Reddit. The link is in the description below to the Reddit post. Now, I explained this in my main video, everything you need to know about Year 2. However, I'll go over it a little bit here. There's limited time items that have a weekly rotation. So some of these items you can see I've purchased them already. Some of the others I've had already. I have quite a stockpile of them, so I don't need them. You might want to. Some of them have blueprints available, some do not. I would focus on buying the blueprints, as you can see down the bottom there, and buying the ones that do not have blueprints, such as Tuling's Guidance that I just hovered over. Now, there is a large silver chest. Some of these you'll want to buy weekly. And at the end of a little weekly shop, it can be quite a few thousand, and he's in 2 locations, so you can buy them twice. Now, the best place to start is obviously at the bounty board. Now, depending on what rank ship you have, doing some of these bosses will be quite easy. Some of them will take you between 5 and 10 minutes, depending on your build. Some of them can take much less. And if you do them daily, the Risen Megalostari one I've already done on the day of recording this, so it doesn't show you the Gildmarks, but you will get 100. Plus you'll get 500 pieces of 8. Now, some of these bounties will take much longer, so I'm going to share with you some better ways of earning. Now, a lot of people think Fort Wolvenhole is the way to go because you get 300 Gildmarks straight off the bat. However, depending on who does the fort with you, how many people come in with a good Hadouakang build or a fort busting build and they know what they're doing because they've done it a few times, that can take you 15 minutes or so. However, you do get deep iron and you do get the Fort Wolvenhole chest, the cache, which contains a lot of good things, including upgraded rogue materials. You get upgrade parts, masterworks kits, ascension modules, all kinds of cool stuff. However, we're going in a different direction here. Now, whether you're new to the game or returning, go and see William Blackwood in World Tier 1 and get yourself Pest Control. Now, this is going to send you to the back top left corner or the northwest corner of Africa to go and kill something called the Plague Bringer. Now, it's a little Bidar ship and you have to bring the head back. But you're not going to do that. You're going to keep the head on board. Now, for those of you who've been playing for a while, you probably know this already. And there was a way to stockpile them. And what you do is you just keep building up that contract and keeping the heads. You cancel the contract and build the heads up so that you have 10 or more heads. Then you put them on board your ship. Now, because I've already got a bunch in the warehouse, it's not showing me the location. It's expecting me to just turn the contract in. But we're going to go down the coast of Africa here, and we're going to try and encourage someone to come out, which is the Plague Prince. Now, this is one of Lepeste's lackeys that only comes out once you reach maximum hostility, or you carry more than 10 or so heads, like these ones, the Plague Bringer Captain's Head. Carry them on board. Now, there's 2 of these in the game that are of this type of, I guess, talisman, right? The Hubacks have one as well. However, the Huback ships, you might have seen them around. They're a chorister, and they have a blue flare on the crow's nest of the ship. They don't drop any Gildmarks, but they are good for farming ascended torpedoes. Now, in World Tier 1, you don't get what we want, so you need to get that contract and do it until you've got some heads, and then go back to World Tier 2. Now, once you're back in World Tier 2, be sure to keep those heads on board your ship. And you're going to go to the coast of Africa. I recommend going here to Isle Michel, or you can go to Pilatum and sail out towards Jiwe. You can also use one of the bosses, whether it's Li Tin Ning or Vikram, as I do here, to fast travel out to that location. Now head west, and most of the time, and look at this, one of them's already spawning on me immediately. Now this guy will drop Lapicua 2 and 3, which are poison long guns. Now he drops them plain, and he also drops them ascended. And you want to get rid of this guy as quick as possible and keep maybe about 500 meters or so distance from him, because his poison will kill you very quickly. However, they're quite manageable, especially if you see them coming. If they get the drop on you, like sneak up on you from behind when you're in the middle of a fight, they can kill you pretty quick. Now, these are the ships that the heads will normally encourage, but what you want to do is get maximum hostility. And the Plague Bringer, or the Plague Prince, will keep coming. Now if you have a look here, you get 61 Gildmarks, as well as the Lapicua. And you get some pieces of 8, a silver box, blighted fuel, and I'm going to show you in this video as well some tips for farming certain items, given that in Season 3 of Year 2, which is arriving shortly, you need to prepare yourself with certain items in order to be able to ascend armor. So I'm going to share with you a few different ways that you can acquire some of the harder to obtain items that you're going to need if you want to ascend any armor that comes from La Peste, such as the Wrathful Ward or the Wailing Ward, or any of the Lapicua weapons. There's also more types of poison weapons coming, so I highly recommend you stock up on something called Plague Dust and Blighted Fuel. Now another way to bring out these La Peste fleet, the Pestilence fleet, is to get maximum hostility against the Ungwana. The Ungwana are the tribe of Africa. That's a faction up around Africa. Sorry if you guys already know this. If you don't, it's good information to know. So ultimately you want to piss these guys off, and if you look in the top right, you'll see that I have level 2 hostility of both Pestilence and Ungwana fleet. So keep destroying them until you hit that max level of hostility, and that will bring out the Plague Prince, which what you're looking for ultimately is that green flare from the crow's nest of the ship. They're the ones that you want. They're the ones holding all the good stuff. Now, I've spent a lot of time out on these waters and circling around, and sometimes they just don't come out. However, a fairly surefire way to get them to come out is to keep jumping around. So keep fast traveling to different locations within Africa, up and down that African coast, even going and fighting one of the bosses there, which is Joker. And anytime you see any of these Pestilence fleet ships, sink them. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what I mean about looking around for them, I fast forward this, it's in times 500, and you'll see that I don't come across another Plague Prince. Searching around as I may, they're usually hanging around all of these islands. They're usually attacking anyone and everyone, even the Ungwana. So I jump to the Fangs of the Pharaoh and I have a look around here. There's usually one sailing near the coast towards some Compagnie properties. So as I mentioned before, those locations start from around Grand Fort out the front of there. He tends to pop out when you're actually trying to do a plunder. He's got 2 lackeys that are constantly attacking Grand Fort. Now, I would sink them, but sometimes he is just out the front of Fond de la Bay, which is the next settlement above Grand Fort. Now, there's usually one hanging around in this particular area, and again, if you come out here, you can see I've already sunk one. That gold loot beam was a Lepest that was hanging around, and I shot him and grabbed what I wanted and came back, and like I had to fast travel away, and I came back and he wasn't there again. So as you can see, I bounce around to a few different locations here, and I just keep coming across the Plague Prince. So I try and farm this guy as much as I can, and you can keep collecting the blighted fuel, but it is extremely heavy and your cargo weight will fill up very quickly. So I recommend maybe even leaving some of the blighted fuel, because you can get hundreds and hundreds of it. So grab the pieces of 8 and the Lapicure and the Gildmarks, of course, and then go searching for another one. And if you're lucky, they just keep spawning. So within the space of a few minutes, you can farm easily 200, 300, 400 Gildmarks. Now the average Gildmarks that are offered are between 50 and 60, but they range between 45 and 70, I believe. So I highly recommend doing this for quite a few times, and you should be able to build up quite a lot of Gildmarks and Lapicure weapons, as well as pieces of 8 in a very short period of time. Then jump to another location if he stops spawning. And again, if you're lucky, he'll just keep coming. They will just keep coming. So I just kept bouncing around, and anytime I see that green flare, I go straight for it. Now ultimately, what you really want to collect are the Lapicure 3. And I will be explaining exactly why. So here's a quick edit of all of the rewards that I got within the space of about 10 minutes of farming. And as I mentioned, you know, between 300 and 400 in just a few minutes. And if you keep farming him for, you know, half an hour or so, you can end up with easily 1,000 Gildmarks. Whereas in that space of time, if you were to go and do other bosses or go and do Fort Wolvenhole, you're wasting 15-20 minutes. And there's even more tips to come. So just a quick tip here before we decide to venture a little further forward and take the next step in this process. I wanted to point out a tip about keeping an eye on these Plague Princes, because if they sneak up on you like I mentioned, like this guy did, I'm into a headwind. If you look down the bottom left, you'll see that I'm stuck in a headwind and I'm trying to turn the ship to get away. He can easily destroy you in seconds. Literally seconds. If he fires, say, 2 or 3 salvos of his mortars, you're screwed. If you're into a headwind and you don't expect it. So you can heal once, then you're on a cooldown. So always keep an eye out, because it can happen. Now let's talk about blighted fuel and the weight. So I go and collect this last lot of loot, and as you can see, my cargo amount slots, the slots available in my ship, became filled, so I had to ditch some items, which that isn't too hard. Ultimately, you want to empty your ship down to just the ammo, a bit of food and drink, and save everything else for the Lapicure ascended weapons and regular weapons. Then when I collected too much blighted fuel, I go back to port, empty the ship, and we head to the blacksmith. Now the blacksmith is going to let you salvage these Lapicures that you've gathered, and with the Lapicure 3 standard and the Lapicure 3 ascended, you will get plague dust. Plus, when you do the Lapicure 2s, whether they're ascended or not, you should get some blighted fuel. Blighted fuel you don't really care about because you get loads of it. So it's definitely the plague dust that you want, and that'll help you ascend the armor in Season 3 that is being introduced. You're allowed to ascend armor. Now, if you have any armor from the La Peste or any poison armor, such as Wailing Ward, Wrathful Ward, and the new poison weapons that are coming into the game, I'm pretty sure you're going to need Blighted Fuel and Plague Dust to ascend them, as you do already for La Piqûre. So this is also where I'm going to tell you about preparing yourself for Season 3. And if you watch this after, like Season 3, you watch it just for farming Gildmarks, then, you can skip this part. But what I'm going to talk about is the fact that every item has, a starting point, a beginning location. Say it might come from Li Tianning, say Year 1, Season 3, in which case you'll need the items that she drops in order for you to upgrade or ascend these items. So things like the Phoenix Pinion and Phoenix Beak, you'll need the yellow banner from the Dragon's Claw and maybe the Azure figurehead. If it's a lightning weapon, then you're going to need Dragon's Claw and Dragon Scale, or, again, Volta's Ward is an armor from, that protects you from lightning, from Stormstruck, and that'll require Dragon's Claw and Scale. Now, if it was, say, the Tanash armor, which is from Season 4 with Vikram, you're going to need Xanthus Stone and Xanthus Gemstone. And that brings me to my next part, which is, as you're preparing for Season 3, or even if you're watching this video after the beginning of Season 3, it should help you to understand the items that you'll need. Sometimes we don't have a blueprint available, which is the best place to go and have a look. If you've got a blueprint for an item, it'll tell you what you need, and therefore you'll know what you need to ascend it. Or you got to go to the blacksmith first and then have a look at the ascensions costs. And when you see the ascension cost, you should be able to then go out and farm the items that are required. You can track it via the codex, that sort of thing. However, the codex doesn't always show you, as I explained in my video, everything you need to know Year 2. So as we move on to more rare items or things that you need to ascend with, you're going to need things like naphtha. Now, unless you've been hitting the ghost convoys and other random convoys that happen to give you those items by chance or chests, go and take on Captain Yoka Kubwe in Africa. You'll find him near Dragon's Back, Navigator's Cross, and Poacher's Cache. He's in that little triangle. And he's pretty easy to take down with a piercing weapon. And he drops naphtha in, quite decent amounts. Now, you can also craft that in the refinery, and they take half an hour and a decent amount of items to do. So you can also use this as a way of farming. He doesn't give much in the way of guild marks, but it all helps. Now, something that ties in with what I was just saying earlier, La Peste. Here is La Peste. Alright, not too hard to beat. Keep your distance, 600 meters. Put a scoping station on your ship. Use long guns. And aim for the barrel of poison at the back of his ship. So, I've fast forwarded this, as you can see. It only takes a couple of minutes, really. But even then, it is not worth it. If more people join, it then becomes harder. There's more chance of you dying, more other ships spawn. And the rewards are not worth it. I mean, you do get La Peste Strongbox, which can drop furniture, such as, the medicine cabinet. And he can drop armor, such as the Wrathful Ward, and you can pick up a La Piqûre 3 long gun from him. And you do get a few other items, so it's not a total waste, and it's fun to do from time to time. However, we're talking about time versus rewards, and in this instance, it's not really worth it. When I open the Lepest Strong box, I mean, you get a few items, some upgrade parts, ascension modules, but you get like one blighted fuel. We did get a Wrathful Ward armor. But time spent and, you know, based on what we're doing in this video, which is Gildmarks primarily, and items that you'll need for ascending armor in Season 3. Now, we didn't even get any Plague Dust. We got 2 blighted fuel out of those chests that we opened, which is really pathetic. So, we're going to move on. I'm going to show you some other tricks to, you know, farming these Gildmarks. And a few of the other rarer items, as I mentioned earlier when I said, now this brings me to my next step. Here we go. Now, you may have noticed during that Lepest fight, we got a bit of hostility from the Shadow fleet. Now, I mentioned this again in my Year 2 video. Now, you see this guy here? This is the Forsaken Corsair. Now, he is just like the Plague Prince, right? He's a specialty ship that comes out during certain hostility and certain times. I mean, he can just spawn on you almost anywhere, as long as you've got some hostility from the Shadow fleet. However, what he has on board is the same sort of thing. He has a bunch of Gildmarks, some pieces of 8, and he actually has a Xanthus gemstone. So this is the other guy that you can farm, should you want to keep farming for Gildmarks. And just the same as the Plague Prince, as soon as they stop spawning and you jump to another location, one of them will probably spawn on you again. In this occasion, I just did a convoy, a ghost ship convoy, testing out my frigate build for that such event. And this guy just kept spawning on me. So I took full advantage of that. And again, if you're going to upgrade anything, ascend anything like the armor, such as the Tanash armor, you will need Xanthus gemstone. So this is another great way to actually farm for that. You can buy them in the black market and sometimes in rotation at William Blackwood's. Then we have the Hubaks. Now, same thing. If you annoy or get hostility with the Chorus fleet or with the Compagnie, these guys will come out here. The Conductor. I think I said a Chorister before. Anyway, the Conductor will come out. Now, he usually has a healing buddy with him. He does give you some pieces of 8. The treasure chest isn't really worth it. It doesn't really have much treasure in it. However, he does drop some Hubak items that you will need for upgrading certain armor, such as the Rhapsody of the Deep. These items also you get from doing the Hubak twin bosses, and you can buy them again in rotation in the black market and William Blackwood's. Now, for some reason, this guy doesn't have any Gildmarks. I don't know why, because his torpedoes can do 45-degree angle turns around items, around islands, and he can sink you pretty quick, does instant flood damage, that sort of thing. I just don't know why he doesn't have any Gildmarks, but the others do. Makes no sense to me. So when we destroy him, you'll see what the loot has on offer here. He's a good way of farming ascended torpedoes as well. There's other faster ways to get, you know, ascended weapons for salvage, but he also drops the Heavenly Lance. And last but not least here with these captains is if you head up into Rempar territory, anywhere in the Indies pretty much, but if you start getting hostility with the Rempar, then you will get the Phoenix Talon warship that'll come out and attack you, and it's identified by a red flare on the crow's nest. Now once you get this guy to come out, he'll have a little wingman that's a sharp shooting battle junk. He's pretty easily taken care of. But this other guy will have Gildmarks on board. The Phoenix Talon captain, the warship, will have pieces of 8. He will have usually an ascended Kalanikos flame. whether it's 1 or 2 or even a standard sometimes, and he should have good Gildmarks on board also. So firstly, piss off the Rempar, and here he is like clockwork. As you can see in the top right hand corner, you will see the Phoenix Talon hostility. That's not the guy we want. There he is there. And you see he has the Gildmarks on board as well. So you can bounce around all these different territories, and excluding the Chorus fleet, don't know why. It's probably an error. It's probably not as intended. I think they all should have Gildmarks, pieces of 8, and specialty items on board. But there you go. That's my my tips on, firstly, on farming Gildmarks. Now I have a couple of other tips here as well. There's, as I mentioned, the specialty items that you'll need for ascending the armor once that becomes available. You're probably going to need the Phoenix statue, as you can see there, the Jade statue I should say. I mean, how good is that? You get an ascended weapon, you're getting pieces of 8, and you're getting Gildmarks. And you think about it, if on average you're destroying one of them every couple of minutes and you're getting 50 Gildmarks, you're killing it. You don't need to waste time really doing 15 minutes at Fort Wolvenhole. Okay, now as you can see, this brings me to my next tip, which is Captain Dian Sanaga. And of course, Captain Dirk Anchor in a show of strength. Now, if you've got a great build, you can go and take on R-Pack in this equation as well, but I've eliminated him in this one. I constantly keep doing those captains, as you saw, and I bounce between Captain Dirk Anchor in here and Captain Dian Sanaga. Now, you'll see this only takes a couple of minutes to kill both of them, and there's an interesting thing that happens. You actually get Gildmarks from on board, right? So in the loot from both those captains, I mean R-Pack's the same, but you're actually getting a Gildmark reward of probably between 45 and 70 like the others, on top of when you actually go and hand in the contract, when you submit their heads to the Rempar settlement. I use Sangdad as the location. You get the contract reward, which refreshes every, I think, between 5 and 8 minutes. So you get 50 Gildmarks, you get pieces of 8, and you get the chest. You get a silver chest, and you get the boss chest from him and her that actually contain upgrade parts and ascension modules. So farming these two on repeat is something that I recommend highly. Alright, so again, they only take a couple of minutes each to do. Dirk Anchorin is easier. He actually has a piercing weakness and stuff as well. The Dian Sanaga seems to be a little more difficult with my Garuda build here. However, only a couple of minutes and then a short sail to submit those contracts. And there's another 150-ish Gildmarks. Too easy. Now, hopefully this video comes to you just before the weekend of the double Gildmarks, so you can farm the hell out of it, and good luck prepping for Season 3. Now, while we turn in these contracts and reap the rewards, then open the chests that we got from Sanaga and from Anchorin, I'm going to tell you to stick around because I decided to throw in one more bonus pro tip to help you on your way in Season 3 when it comes to Ascensions. And as a closing tip here, I'm going to open 10 chests from the Shadow Legion Convoy. Okay, now not every convoy has this chest, so be sure to check them. However, if you want to upgrade anything such as the Blue Spectre, you're going to need things from the Ghost ships, and this is the best place to get it, amongst other things, as you can see, including the Devil's Concoction furniture and Vengeful Essence, Ethereal Ashes, Rogue materials, and you also get some Gold Skull Gin, Gold Skull Rum, and some Blue Lotus Opium. as well as a tool smithy on the end. Cool, huh? Alright, happy farming, people. So I hope you found the video helpful. If you have any questions, please pop them in the comments below. Is there anything in the game you'd like to see a tutorial on? Again, let me know in the comments. I also stream live on Twitch. Check the description below for live times. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and check the bell alert so you know when new videos go live. I'm Platinum God Games. Until next time, game like a god.